Yuki Tsunoda has gotten a lot of attention for his racing skills after Lawson got moved up to Red Bull with only 11 races behind him. There's a real chance that the Japanese driver will show Red Bull that they picked the wrong guy with the New Zealand driver. But with not many open spots for the 2025 season and with big changes coming in 2026, where can the Japanese driver find his new team? And more importantly, will it be a better racing team than the one he's on now? One of the most interesting drivers racing right now is Yuki Tsunoda. Since he didn't get moved up to Red Bull, he'll probably leave the Austrian team and focus on a different goal in his career. This has been confirmed by Horner, who said good things about Haas for being faster than Tsunoda during the tire test in Abu Dhabi in 2024. He said that when you have a driver who has been with a sister team for 5 years, it's clear that you have to let him go and allow him to make his own path in racing. Talking more about this topic and Honda's involvement with Tsunoda's contract with Red Bull, Horner said, Honda is an important partner for us. We buy engines from them, so of course we talk to Honda when making decisions. I'm sure that they would have loved Yuki to have been in the car in the last year of their deal with Red Bull Racing, but Honda has always refused to get involved in choosing drivers. They've always left that choice up to the team. We know very well that if we can't give Yuki a chance, honestly, does it make sense this year? You can't have a driver on the support team for 5 years, you know. You can't always be second place. You either have to let them go at that point or look at something different. Yes, there's always a chance that Lawson's first time racing could go really badly, just like it did for Gasly and Albon. If that happens, the team won't have any more excuses to not promote Tsunoda next of us. However, the Austrian team will very likely give Lawson a bit more room to make mistakes, just like they did with Perez, because he's new to Formula 1. Even though he has lots of experience in other racing like DTM and Super Formula. Yuki has also talked about his future outside of Red Bull's group, saying that at least 3 teams were interested in having him drive for them. The only reason he said no to them was because he believed that if he beats Ricciardo, which he did, he would be guaranteed the seat next to Verstappen. But Lawson's experience in other racing categories and the greater potential they saw in him beat Tsunoda for the spot. It looks like his behavior and his angry outbursts cost him a lot when it came to his ultimate goal, when talking about being contacted by many other rival teams in 2024, where he felt like he started to show his true talent in the sport. He said, I probably started to show my value this year from the beginning of the season before I signed my contract with Racing Bulls. Luckily, a couple of teams reached out to me. I've never had that in the last 2 years, especially the first 2 years. So you just need to keep delivering good results consistently. So far I'm able to do that, but it's kind of the first year where I'm showing good results consistently. I know a lot of things can get better, and there's still a lot more to come from myself. So you could say that Tsunoda has a future outside of Red Bull based on what he and Horner said, but realistically Yuki's options are very limited right now. While there are situations where he can compete better, a lot of things have to work out perfectly. Aston Martin is always the first team that he's going to be connected with because of the Honda partnership. With Newey now joining as a former Red Bull employee, things look really good for Tsunoda to be part of the reborn team that wants to fight for championships as early as 2026. But the favoritism factor hasn't changed much for the Silverstone-based team. Yuki would have better chances being teammates with Stroll and Alonso and hope for an early retirement from the 2-time world champion. This is also unlikely to happen because Alonso wants to stay. But all of the latest changes in terms of how competitive the team is that were brought by hiring staff like Newey, Cowell, and Dyer, as well as the engine partnership with Honda, could put a lot of pressure on Lawrence to make some much-needed changes if he wants to see all these changes pay off. Whether or not Yuki would be the right choice is up to time and the bold decision that Aston Martin needs to make. But if it's not this team, rest assured that Yuki is not going to be left without a seat outside of Racing Bulls. Alpine is an option that will always be considered a risky one because of how well the team performs. But the fact that they ended 2024 on a very high note and jumped from 9th place to 6th place in the Constructors' Championship has shown that they are following a positive trend. A competitive driver would be very good to have in their rows, along with Gasly. Unfortunately, the 2 Frenchmen weren't able to control their emotions when racing against each other, and it resulted in Ocon leaving for Haas. So with Duhan getting promoted, you would normally think that the driver lineup for the French team is all set and done, right? Well, that's quite the opposite. Special advisor Flavio Briatore has said publicly that there will be a lot of pressure on Duhan to perform. If he fails in a certain period of time, the replacement will be on its way. This shows that Alpine doesn't want to mess around with mediocre results and wants to compete in the midfield and potentially score podiums as well. When talking about the current situation of their drivers and whether or not we should expect a change sooner rather than later, Briatore said, the only certain thing in life is death. We start the year with Gasly and Duhan, I guarantee it. After that, we'll see during the season. I have to help the team reach a situation where it can achieve results. The driver is the one who has to finish the work of almost 1,000 people behind him. Everyone works for just 2 people. And if there's a driver who's not making progress, who is not bringing results, he will be changed. Now, of course, this could apply to Gasly as well. But if we look at his results in Alpine in 2024, being the only driver in the history of the sport to not cause a penny of damage to his car, as well as being in the top 10 drivers while driving the slowest car for most of the season, it's obvious that the pressure will be on. Briatore's statement says it loud and clear. There will definitely be some changes throughout the current season if something goes wrong with some of the drivers. Tsunoda would be smart to see how things develop here and whether he could reunite with his old teammate and buddy Gasly. Another interesting team is Cadillac, because while the first seat has been more or less guaranteed to an American driver, the second one is still up for grabs. The team has yet to decide whether they will go toward the veteran or the youth side. Tsunoda isn't really a young driver in terms of experience in the sport, because in 2026 he'll be entering his 6th season in Formula One, so that shows he might be the perfect candidate who will bring both youth and experience in one place. Exactly what Cadillac needs. Their goals are clear: fight for a championship once the engines are set in place in 2028. With so many question marks around the second seat, it's yet another mystery that Tsunoda would have to look deep into in the foreseeable future. On the other hand, Cadillac can always choose a race-winning driver like Perez, Ricciardo, or Bottas for the short term in order for them to get an understanding of how the car should look and behave on the grid, then focus on young drivers to build their career around. Be that as it may, Tsunoda is not short of options. Even though Audi and Haas have their lineups fixed for 2025 and beyond, there's one fact that we must not forget: both of them have rookies starting from the next campaign. What this shows is that there's always an option that these drivers will struggle under the pressure, similar to situations like Duhan, a driver like Tsunoda who is unhappy with how the situation developed in his own team regarding the promotion. Will be very smart to look at these teams as his future. With all of this in mind, do you think that Tsunoda will end his time with Racing Bulls sooner rather than later? And more importantly, which team do you think has the highest chances of getting his services? Let us know in the comments below. If you're interested in the latest changes for the 2025 and 2026 season, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.